Welcome back. In the earlier lecture, I talked about the brief history and evolution of distributed computing. It all started with Google finding a solution for their storage requirements using GFS. The open source community created a similar solution called HDFS. What exactly we got from HDFS? It allowed us to form a cluster of computers and use the combined capacity for storing our data. And that was a revolutionary technology because it allowed us to collect and store a kind of data volume which was almost impossible earlier. That was not enough. We also got the MapReduce framework. MR allowed us to use the combined computing power of the cluster and use it to process the enormous data volumes that we stored in HDFS. What was there before the HDFS and MR came into existence? Data warehouses like Teradata and Exadata, right? How we used these data warehouses? We created pipelines to collect data from a bunch of OLTP systems and brought them into the data warehouse. Then we processed all that data to extract business insights and use it to make the right business decision. The advent of HDFS and MR started challenging these data warehouses in two critical respects: horizontal scalability and capital cost. Increasing the capacity or scaling the HDFS and MR was as simple as adding some more cheap servers to your cluster. It allowed us to start with a low-cost small cluster and add more low-priced servers as and when we needed more capacity. Data warehouses were challenged and we needed a new name for this approach. This is precisely when James Dixon, CTO at Pentaho, coined a new term, the data lake. Initially, the data lake became synonymous with Hadoop. However, over some time, a lot of things evolved. Hadoop as a platform has lost the excitement and hype. Cloud infrastructure became more economical and started seeing wider adoption. And with these developments, the notion of data lake also matured as a platform with four key capabilities: data collection and ingestion, data storage and management, data processing and transformation, data access and retrieval. And these four are nothing but the same problems that Google attacked and solved, right? The core of the data lake platform is the storage infrastructure. In today's data lake, this could be an on-premise HDFS or cloud object stores such as Amazon S3, Azure Blob, Google Cloud Storage, etc. The cloud storage is leading because they offer scalability and high availability access at an extremely low cost in almost no time to procure. The notion of the data lake recommends that you bring data into the lake in a raw format. What does it mean? That means you should ingest the data into the data lake and preserve an unmodified, immutable copy of the data. The ingest block of the data lake is all about identifying, implementing, and managing the right tools to bring data from the source system to the data lake. We do not have one ingestion tool that solves the purpose in all use cases, and hence many vendors are competing for a place in this box. The next layer is the processing layer. This is the place where all the computation is going to happen. When I say computation, I mean the following kind of work: initial data quality check, transforming and preparing your data, correlating, aggregating, analyzing, and extracting some business insights, applying some machine learning model. All those actions are going to happen in this layer. But you want to do it on a large scale, right? So the processing layer is further broken into two parts. And this is important for managing things and separating out the responsibilities: data processing framework and orchestration framework. The processing framework is the core development framework that allows you to design and develop distributed computing applications. The Apache Spark falls in this place. The orchestration framework is responsible for the formation of the cluster, managing resources, scaling up, scaling down, and many other similar things. And this is the place where we have three competitors: Hadoop Yarn, Kubernetes, and Apache Mesos. The last and the most critical capability of data lake is to allow you to consume the data from the data lake. You can think of your data lake as a repository of raw and processed data. Now the consumption is all about putting that data for real life usage, right? But the consumption requirement will come in all possible formats. You might have data analysts and data scientists looking to access the data from the lake. You might have some applications and dashboards. Those guys are also interested in aggregated results and insights. Some of them would ask you to allow JDBC ODBC connectors. Others might ask you for a REST interface. Experimenting data scientists would be interested in accessing files. The point is straight. Every data lake consumer comes with a different set of requirements and expectations, complicating the consumption layer. And hence, we have a bunch of products competing to find a place in this box as well. At a high level, this is what a data lake is all about. However, the data lake platform is much more complicated as a whole. You are going to need a bunch of other additional capabilities to complete your data lake implementation. The most critical ones are listed here: security and access control, scheduling and workflow management, data catalog and metadata, data lifecycle and governance, operations and monitoring. Great. I tried to give you a holistic overview and develop a big picture of a data lake as a modern data platform. And that's all about this lecture. See you in the next lecture. Keep learning and keep growing.